Let's get some W's in the chat for one of my favorite Tyler songs off of this album, and that I feel like I've heard in a long time. I mean, I think this would be up there, definitely with some of the best off of Call Me If You Get Lost.
Bro, wow.
That was a moment from our first reaction to Tyler, the Creator's new album, Chromakopia. If you guys want to access the entire album reaction, you guys could do so by hitting up the link in the pinned comment or in our description. We did it on Patreon with the whole community. But just a disclaimer, Ant wasn't actually a part of it.
No, I wasn't a part of it. I was in the hospital overnight. And I didn't even think I was going to be able to do this video. So thank you to the doctors that were able to take care of me. My bad if I sound a bit off today, but, you know, it is what it is. But thankfully, I got out of that hospital room and I was able to bump some new Tyler. So
Yes,
it's
sir.
a good day for me. I'm going to be recovering, but listen, how do you feel about it? Because this is the first time for a major rollout. I don't get to directly see your reaction. I'm going to go watch the reaction stream right after Nick uploads it. Thank you to Nick, by the way, for taking my place today. Really nice of you guys to continue on for the community. But how do you feel about the track list overall? Because there's a lot of conversations going into this album. Like, was this something that, you know, you expected from Tyler? Did it kind of exceed expectations? So were your expectations met? Like, how are you feeling right now after first listen?
I mean, expectations were met in the sense that it is another high-quality Tyler, the Creator album. He does not miss. I think it's one of the strongest projects of the year. I think the expectations weren't met in the sense of what I thought the album might have been. I thought it was going to be, you know, this fall album that had these dark aesthetics and visuals. I thought it might be the return of Tyler, the villain, like we've seen in his earlier work. I felt like there might have been maybe some more controversial lyrics or whatever the case may be, and just a darker and more aggressive sound. But on the flip side, I feel like you're getting a lot of sweet and warm and bright sounds. And I think that what's interesting about this album is that he's pulling from a lot of the sounds and aesthetics from previous albums, but what's really interesting is that this is the most vulnerable and personal Tyler, the Creator album that we've gotten up to this point, and we're going to go deeper into the concept of the album in our review, but I feel like this album is really about what track number 9 represents, right? Taking the mask off. Tyler really coming to terms with who he is, owning who he is, getting closure on different issues like his father not being part of his life, on a song like Him, which was absolutely beautiful. And again, just him really being proud and being open with who he is. But what about you in terms of just like what the album represents storyline wise? What did you pick up on?
Well, the first thing that I really picked up upon, like you said, is that this seems like a really personal album for him. And of course, this is my first listen. I did it loosely. So again, I really want to reserve my judgment for the review that we're going to be putting out in the next couple of days. But I really feel like he tried to push his pen forward with his thoughts on this. Example, something like a Hey Jane, right? Tyler's talked about this subject before in interviews, how he doesn't want to have children. He doesn't like the idea of giving up his freedom. He prefers to live a life where he's able to explore the world and he's able to live on his own terms, right? And having children could possibly stop him from doing that. And with Hey Jane, it's interesting, right? Because the first verse is from his perspective, talking to a woman that he just got pregnant, and then after that the woman is talking back to him, and there's like this back and forth emotion that goes into this. And like, these are things that I love to see from Tyler, pushing his pen forward, creating these types of new song concepts. Even going back to Noid, I really enjoyed this song because in the context of a single it worked, and now in the context of the album it works too, right? Him being paranoid, him like looking over his shoulders. It feels like, you know, Tyler's taking you through everything he feels uncomfortable with, and everything that he really has second guesses on, or shit that he doesn't necessarily feel comfortable talking about himself, but he wants to bring that to the listener and to the user experience. And I really find that to be a beautiful thing, and I think it's a step forward. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that this is better written, at least off of first listen, maybe than Call Me If You Get Lost. Like, there's certain cuts on here that are some of the strongest within his catalog. So you look at something, like you were saying, Take Your Mask Off. You look at something like a Hey Jane. These are incredibly written tracks.
Yeah, Hey Jane is definitely like peak storytelling from Tyler, and it's a subject that we've seen before about someone getting pregnant and the possibility of abortion. We saw it on J. Cole's Lost Ones. You know, we've gotten song concepts from so many other rappers, but Tyler still found his own unique way to approach it in a very mature way. Again, giving those perspectives and real life thoughts about what that situation could entail. So
Let me ask you something else, okay? Because then looking at maybe more of the brash sort of Tyler, the stuff that people were maybe afraid of on this album, maybe like a Ratata, or should I say, sorry, Ratata. Did I pronounce that right?
yeah, you did.
It's tat twice, right? Yeah. And then after that, like a Saint Chroma, for example. Do you think those types of songs fit sonically within the sequencing
Well,
of the track
absolutely.
list?
I think Saint Chroma was genius just because you got such a cool balance of this very light and sweet sound, and then that transition into a more hectic, more alarming, and urgent delivery from Tyler. But yeah, that production transition was beautiful, and I think that's something that you can come to expect with this album is just Tyler evolving as a producer and showing us that there are still new places for him to go. Example being the Zambian sample that he used on Noid, for instance. Even a lot of the marching band drums that he used, tapping into some industrial sounds on the album as well. It was cool to see just the palette that he was able to conjure up for this album. I think that he elevated as a producer, like he tends to do with every fucking album that he puts out. And I also really appreciated the song-to-song transitions. For example, Ratata to Noid had an incredible transition, and there's a couple of others that are really genius. But something that we have to talk about that people maybe didn't expect, I know we expected it, because Tyler said that there would be no features on the album. He said, fuck features. And of course, it's flooded with hidden features from beginning to end. Some of them have more of a minor role. For example, a Daniel Caesar, a Childish Gambino, or maybe Baby Keem, who just said, huh, and said nothing else. But then you get full-on verses from artists like Lil Wayne, Schoolboy Q, Glorilla, and more. So how did you feel that he worked chemistry-wise with the other people on the album?
Well, that's something that I want to keep for my next couple of listens. Like example, someone like a Schoolboy Q on Thought I Was Dead, I feel like added so much energy to the track itself. I know a lot of people are having conversations about Sticky. I like Glorilla on the track. I wasn't too big on Sexy Red, and I wasn't too big on Wayne. So I'm going to be going back to that track, and I want...
Wayne stole the show on that song, bro. Are you kidding me?
Again, I have to go back. I listened to it loosely, so maybe I'm going to like it for the review, guys. Just let me know how you feel about that feature, by the way, in the comments section. Then after that, for Childish Gambino and like Daniel Caesar, Baby Keem, like you said, it's more minimal stuff. But Tizo Touchdown, I love his vocals on Darling I. I feel like that was a great feature.
That was a beautiful song.
And he not only had contributions for the chorus, but he was also littered throughout the verses. That was really nice. Doechii on Balloon. I love her energy, bro. Well, what she's been doing this year is fucking generational. It really is. You know, she's poised to be one of the biggest. At least for this decade, dude. She's fucking doing some incredible shit.
Absolutely. I air this bitch out like a queef. that was a one-liner to remember from Doechii, but jokes aside, she had a killer performance, one of my favorite features on the entire album. When it comes to this project as a whole, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, in terms of like track consistency, it was pretty strong for me. That being said, for the first time in a while, I'm like, damn, there's two songs that might be complete skips for me. There's two songs that I think are really on the weaker side for Tyler, and they come smack in the middle of the album with Judge Judy and Sticky. I think that when you look at a song like Judge Judy, you're getting Tyler, interestingly enough, singing differently than he did on Igor, because there's no vocal pitch alteration or anything like that. It's his raw voice, but he's singing in this high key, and it doesn't sound all that great, even though his natural voice does sound good on other songs, but didn't like the performance there. I didn't like the chorus on it either. Then going on to a song like Sticky, this just felt like a song that was...
It's a bit of a soup.
It's rap caviar bait. That's really what it feels like. And I'm like, for Tyler to be making a song like this, it threw me off a little bit.
Well, you know what? I agree with you, but at a certain point, he has such a flawless record within his catalog for these types of songs. And not meaning like producing these types of songs, meaning that he usually stays away from that type of stuff. Like, I just felt like he was trying to have fun with this. He was like, fuck it. You know?
For sure.
And he was just trying to get it going, you know?
But you enjoyed those songs?
Judge Judy less because of the singing performance, but then again, I want to reserve my judgment for that one once we start like looking at the artist performance for the review. And again, they're kind of smack in the middle of the album, so I want to revisit a lot of material. But Sticky is one that you can't forget. I mean, I really like the Glorilla part. So I'm cool with the Glorilla part. I think she's been ripping shit this year. Really, I think people have to start respecting what she's really doing. And I think she is getting her respect. But let's talk about this just before we end off the episode. Looking at Chromacopia, obviously it went into a different direction than you and I predicted, which is honestly a good thing. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be wrong with this type of shit, because if I would have been able to predict it, then at the same time, it's like, what are you really getting out of it? The album experience is different. I mean, we're what, Monday today, correct? Yeah. We're on Monday at the time of this recording, so we're gonna maybe consume this album in a different way. How do you feel like this album experience is different than anything else you've, let's say, heard from Tyler or experienced from Tyler rollout wise? Like, how does the Chromacopia, I would say, affect feel rather than, let's say, Call Me If You Get Lost, Igor, Flower Boy, and like all the other projects he went through?
I think the biggest difference compared to Tyler's latest projects is that when you look at, let's say, Flower Boy, there is sort of like this consistent sound that's glooming throughout the project, where you have, for the most part, these very summery, jazzy, warm chords that are ringing throughout it. On Igor, it was just like synthscape after synthscape, which was really dope because you had that as like sort of the main sound of the album. With Call Me If You Get Lost, you had a lot of high tempo, luxury hip hop beats for the most part, with some of the synth incorporation from Igor on a song like Sweet, etc. But with this album, the main difference to me is that there's such a large contrast, not only from song to song, but sometimes within the same track, where you're getting one subgenre bleeding into another. And there was so much that was interesting to me in terms of, again, just the way that he was able to, on a song, for example, like Him, start off with like this pop ballad that had just these dramatic keys, and then just make the progression of the track flourish with by adding new instruments and new sounds. The beginning half of this sounded like, production wise, like an old Queen song to me. So again, I feel like Tyler is taking ambitious creative risks with his approach throughout the album, which was really something that I admired. So that was the biggest difference for me. But what about you?
That's a good question. I feel like it's well, first of all, I was in the hospital while I was listening to this album, so it was kind of a different feeling for me, and I listened to it on the way home. I think what I really like about this is that it's one of those albums where I feel like Tyler doesn't give a fuck. It feels like that Cherry Bomb or like that sort of Goblin album where it's like, doesn't care about critics, doesn't give a fuck about expectations, doesn't give a fuck about what the internet has to say, about what you and I have to say. Like, fuck us, what do we mean to his career, whatever it is. And I really like that type of energy on the album. This feels fun for him. This feels like he's leaving everything, and yet there's like this manic energy throughout the entire project, with records like a Saint Chroma or a Noid, for example, where
Thought I Was Dead.
There's so much happening, right? But then like you could find this consistency within the chaos. I love albums like this, right? Because like when it goes too crazy, and like I don't mean too crazy in a way where like you're getting too many different sonic palettes. I mean, it's just like everything's everywhere. It's a bit of a mess. It doesn't feel like a concise album. Then you're like, what did I really get out of this album experience? This might have been a playlist. But with this, like, I understand the approach off of first listen. And I think that this is going to be an album for a lot of fans that it's going to grow over time.
Yeah, for sure.
I really do feel that way. I think that this is some of the most interesting production he's ever brought to the table. I'm so happy that this is a completely different contrast to what you've gotten on a Flower Boy, on an Igor, a Call Me If You Get Lost, a Cherry Bomb, a Wolf. Like, this is completely different. And you're getting rapping performances, you're getting singing performances, you're getting personal ballads, you're getting, manic energy, you're getting great features, you're getting minimal features. It's just like you're getting everything. It's literally the full, 5-course meal. Like, you can't escape this album, and that's what I really like about it. Like, he put his heart and soul into this shit. And already, I'll give you guys a rating on the review. Amazing production, easy. The production's fucking mind blowing.
I'm gonna save my scores. I'm gonna save all my scores.
The production is fucking amazing. It's for me, this is the best produced album of the year. I feel like this is the best produced album of the year. Off of
Yeah,
first
it's not
listen.
a bad take. It's not a bad take.
Like, listening to productions like a Saint Chroma in full, listening to stuff like Noid, listening to the beautiful production on Hey Jane, even I Killed You, listening to Thought I Was Dead,
the production's serious,
like
for
Balloon,
sure.
even Hope You Find Your Way Home. Like, the production on that outro is stupid. The sequencing's great. The track list is consistent. Like, get out of here.
Yeah, the synths on the closer for I Hope You Find Your Way Home
Crazy.
were breathtaking. Love those keys. And I think that this album is gonna, at least for me, off the bat, is gonna draw comparisons to something like The Life of Pablo in the sense that it feels like Tyler's album where he's really encompassing a lot of sounds from the past, but also taking new risks and trying out new sounds.
And putting it in the blender.
So I think that's what's really special about this album. But guys, like we were saying earlier, there are so many more thoughts and things for us to dive into. So subscribe if you guys are new to the channel, because we will be dropping our official album review to Chromakopia very shortly. Hope you guys enjoyed the first thoughts video. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this, we did do our live album reaction on Patreon. The link's available in the pinned comment and in our description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you soon. Peace.